Good evening YouTube, welcome back to another Division 2 video. I'm Pete TT and tonight we're going to be talking real quick about the Division 2 exotic changes to weapon and armour. Now, as like the previous videos I've made, let me start off by apologising for the timely delay of content from me. I've had several months away now and I'm only just getting back into the news cycle, so for me, all of this information is new and I actually plan to pass it off to you guys as such. That being said, if you do know all of the information and nothing I actually go on to talk about is new, then of course please feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But right now, let's just jump straight into it. So the Division 2 is changing up a few things when it comes to exotics, both on the weapon and armour front. One of the biggest changes in my opinion is the Destiny-esque way in which you will now only be able to equip one piece of exotic armour and one exotic weapon. Now, I've seen a lot of split opinions about this change, but personally, I like it. I said from day one that if they had a system like this, then they would be able to be a tad more creative and wild in their overall design methods with exotics. Yeah, that's pretty much the summary of my take on it. I know some people may not like this change, but when you think about it guys, wouldn't it actually be nicer to have one exotic bit of gear equipped that could actually affect your gameplay in a huge way than equip several bits of gear that don't really change much of your build, your playstyle or your in-game experience? Either way, whatever side of the fence you sit on with this, please let me know in the comment section down below, as I feel this really could be a game changer if the devs really let loose with their imagination and give us some wild exotics that make us in one way or another incredibly powerful. Moving on now, let's talk about the changes to design philosophy when it comes to exotic weapons. Back in October, Frederick, Thailander and Yannick held a state of the game where they spoke about the weapon and exotic changes, and they went on to discuss in detail some of the design changes that have happened when creating exotics for the Division 2. One of the biggest things to me is that they are now going to tie exotic weapons into the lore of the game, and they're going to make them stand out a lot more. Now, we've seen something similar to this in a way with some of the Division 1 exotic armour, like Pharaoh's Mask, but none of the exotic weapons really felt overly special. Now, sure, yes, some were very powerful, but none really tied back into the game's story or deep dark secrets. Hopefully, going forward, the team will actually be able to really deliver on this topic and give us not only some seriously cool looking weapons, but some really great exotic talents too. Now, a quick personal hope of mine is that they do something very similar to what they did with the Division 1 beta, and they allow us access to a few exotics when the beta finally drops for the Division 2, which, although still remains a mystery, it is looking even more likely to be at the early part of 2019 rather than the later part of 2018 as we had all hoped. Now, moving on to some confirmation details about Division 1 exotics making their way into the Division 2. Simple answer, guys, is that they won't be. A more complicated answer, however, did indeed follow, so let me explain. None of the Division 1 exotics will be making a return in the Division 2 as Division 2 exotics. However, they did state that some would indeed be returning as their base formed selves as part of our possible armoury. What this means is, we'll use the exact example they did on stream, the house will return, but it will return as its base form, which is actually a Sig Sauer MPX submachine gun. Now, this is very interesting because it does allow for some of the more fun exotics to return in their base form, rebalanced and re-rolled with different talents on them for us to enjoy as normal weapons. But it does also mean that we get a whole new bunch of exotic weapons rather than just copy and pasted versions of their former selves. So yeah, I actually think this is a win-win all round, guys. But of course, again, I would love to know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Finally, guys, I want to touch on something that isn't exactly directly tied to exotic changes, but here's to hoping it will get included somewhere along the line when we actually find out about all the exotic weapons, and that is a new weapon class called Rifles. Now, if you played the Division 1, then you will already know the current weapon classes, but for those of you who don't, let's quickly go over them. So in-game, currently we have assault rifles, marksman rifles, submachine guns, shotguns, light machine guns, and of course, pistols. In the Division 2, the team have decided to add a 7th category called Rifles. Now then, the reason behind this is kind of twofold. One, it was to help the team better balance all of the weapons in game, and two, it was to help place certain weapon archetypes that didn't really effectively fall into any of the other categories. If we talk or take some examples from the Division 1 then, we of course have to name the Urban MDR, which was a single fire assault rifle that was balanced as such, but really it should have been in a class of its own, because when stacked up against other assault rifles in the same class, it wasn't really a viable option. Unless of course you were running a certain build and playing in a certain way, that of course was the Firecrest set. We have another example in the marksman rifle category, and that is the SVD. The SVD in terms of a marksman rifle was again well out of place because of its accuracy, stability and rate of fire. Now both of these style weapons will find a new home in the rifle class along with any other semi-automatic weapon in game. Now the way in which Frederick actually described the new class had me thinking about the Destiny Pulse rifles or the Battlefield DMRs, and honestly I'm actually looking forward to playing with them. I had a lot of fun playing with Pulse rifles in Destiny, had a lot of fun playing with the DMRs in Battlefield. I did like that kind of style of weapon, so here's to hoping that Massive can actually pull something very similar off here, and the rifle class as its whole will actually be pretty damn good. Now at the moment guys, that about wraps up all I can tell you on the exotic changes coming our way in March. Now I have no doubt more information will drop soon, and when it does I will indeed cover it, but for now I will leave you to enjoy your evening. Thank you very much for watching as always, and until the next one I'll catch you all soon.